I am getting warning signs that Bitcoin is ready to put in a short-term top. I think that could give us a bigger Fibonacci retracement. Wrong about the size of the pullback, and I could be wrong about topping under 109,000. It may blow past that level and then pull back. I'm just telling you what I think. I have the guts. Very few people will tell you what they think. I tell you what I think. Down here we're bottoming when we're about to crash. I told you 74,000 had better hold, because if it doesn't, that's extremely bearish if you take it out. I told you why. We are bouncing off horizontal support. Bitcoin's average price, a 50-month or 50-week moving average. These levels were likely going to hold a support. Those levels out, that's extremely bearish. Warning signs that some volatility was going to happen. We got it right there, and we got it right there. That was correct. We're getting it again here. Now this is likely consolidation. We had this big push higher. We got a doji on Friday, and here we're just still in the session here for Saturday. But again, I think you're going to get a pop early next week, and I think it's going to be under 109,000 and maybe over the 105,000 level. We've so far hit 104,000, go between 101, 105, and that was just resistance levels. Maybe we bust up a little higher, 106, 107, 108,000, something like that, and then pull back. But I think you're going to see that happen. Getting warning signs that we're going to likely see that happen. I think you're probably going to see something like this, where we get this warning sign, we get a pop higher, but then we begin to turn. So I think, again, probably Monday, Tuesday, I think you're probably going to see Bitcoin peak out in all likelihood and begin to pull back. Could I be wrong about that? Yep, I could be completely wrong, but I have the guts to tell you what I think. I had the guts to tell you that I thought this was the bottom. Here, I'm getting a warning sign that I should be looking for a top. Back at the bottom on April 7th, I told you about the signal here. Thought it was likely marking a bottom. As we formed a bunch of bullish divergences, daily time frame, on the intraday charts and the 4-hour time frame, that was correct. We saw bars turn back to green. The line here turned back to blue. And with the circles turn back to blue as well. And line here turned from orange to green, and we saw all these bullish signals, and they're still remaining, and we just bounced off of those levels. In the consolidation, we are likely coming up to the upper Bollinger Band. What happened? Oh, we came back up to the upper Bollinger Band. You mean I was right? Yes, I was right. Likely going to see a peak here. We're above the band right now. We're probably see another push higher in all likelihood to get the divergence in the 4-hour time frame, RSI, and the MACD, and then I think you're going to get this pullback. Again, very similar to what we had happen over here. Very similar to what we had happen over here near the upper Bollinger Band. Similar to what we had at the bottom. We had a warning signal here that we're going to have some volatility. Oh, gee, what happened? We had some volatility. We went sideways. And I told you I thought that completed the wave 4. Now I think you're in the wave 5, and I think it's nearly done to complete minor wave 1. So I think you're going to see the signals. Not here yet, but I think you're going to see it likely on Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday. And then I think you're going to turn, and I think you'll get that pullback. See if trend signals remain bullish, or if they turn bearish with the pullback. They'll probably turn bearish briefly. I think we're going back to the 50-period moving average. We don't have it here either. I'll be watching to see if it shows up. We got the bearish signal warning of volatility, and we got the bullish signal before this rally started right here. And again, it was correct. And right now, you're just kind of going sideways. So I think you're going to, get this sideways move, and then you're going to get this final push higher. And I think that'll probably be early next week, maybe on Sunday, but probably at some point early next week. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it goes out a few days longer. We'll see. But I think you're going to see a pullback. We're into this resistance area right here. I've marked these resistance areas. Down here, we blew past this level. We're up into this resistance area right now. Maybe we stall there at 106,000. Or we go up above it into this area right above that, and again moving closer towards 107, maybe 108,000. But again, I think you're going to get one more little pop here, and then I think you're going to get the pullback to the 50 or the 200 period moving average, or the confirmation line here. Could be quick, could take some time. Maybe we don't pull back as far as I think. Maybe it's just to this level here. Looking at the Fibonacci retracements once we peak, that would be closer to a 38.2 Fibonacci retracement than a 50% retracement is what I'm looking for. Now, again, my signals, I've got the Fibonacci retracements right here. And again, here I've marked, okay, say we get another pop up to the 106,000 area, and it could be more, could be less, 105,000. Right now we're at 104,000. Wherever we peak out at, I'll be looking at the Fibonacci retracement. Say we go to 106,000, well, you get the support in here at your 38.2. So maybe that's it, more of a shallow pullback. Get a medium-sized pullback, and your 50% retracements coming back to the confirmation line of the double bottom. You get something deeper, you've got your 61.8 Fibonacci down here, 85,000 area. You've got the 78.6 thousand, or I'm sorry, the 78.6 Fibonacci down here, the 80,000 area. That's assuming we go up that high. We don't know where we're going to peak out at yet, but again, I'm looking at these Fibonacci retracements. My guess is we get one pop higher, and then I think that we get a pullback to one of these Fibonacci. So I'll be watching them closely, but the breakout of resistance should now turn as support. So I think you got a good shot. That level's going to hold. Looking at a 38.2 Fibonacci retracement, 50% retracement, rather than a 78 or a 61.8 Fibonacci or 78.6 Fibonacci. I don't think you get as deep as a pullback. You could, but my guess is that's not going to be the case. Resistance is now turned to support. Incredible signals calling the decline, calling the breakout here. Look at that. Take a stinking boo. My trend trek indicator. I create so many indicators. I name them to keep them all straight, but this is one of my favorites. Did an outstanding job at when prices are going down, when prices are going up, and when prices are going sideways. But I am getting warning signs that a top could happen soon. Here, I'm getting a warning sign that we could see a top very soon. No reversal yet. Down over here, I had the bottoming signal and the reversal associated with that, and then 2 days later, bottoming signals at the bottom at Bitcoin's average price. Trying to show up right now as I'm making the video. My guess is, again, we're going to end up popping higher. We may still pull back. We may even get a warning sign, more warning signs, but I think you're still going to pop higher. Like over here, we had this topping signal and reversal signal. We still ended up going higher to the January 20th peak. We got a warning sign over here. Still ended up going a little higher before the reversal happened. There it goes away. So again, that's what I think is going to happen. I think you're going to get this short-term top. We've had an explosive move higher in 5 legs, a 5-leg push higher. And here's the 100 period moving average. Right below it is a support. And again, if we go up to 106, that would be the 50% retracement area. We could pull back. 50 period moving average now seen on this chart. 100 period, the pink line right there. And again, have a resistance turn support. Absolutely incredible signals. Here we broke this line, and again it acted as resistance, acted as resistance, acted as resistance over and over and over again, over and over again. We consolidated, we got above it, now it's support, probably going to gravitate back towards it. My guess is we're going to take it out towards the 100 period moving average and horizontal support. I'm making the video today telling you I'm getting warning signs to be watching out for a top. I think you're going to pop higher, 506, maybe 107, whatever, 1,000. But then I think we're going to pull back. Please support the channel with the link directly below that allows me to be able to provide you this information. I don't have sponsors. I don't want to send you to just want to get you all leveraged up to wipe you out. I just ask that you support the channel. With you, the signals that I use to make my Bitcoin decisions. Absolutely incredible signals. If you like that, support the channel. Follow the link below to take you to a secured site, and you can donate any amount you want. Anything helps. If you take a moment to do that, I would really, really appreciate it. Thank you for your consideration for that. Now, right now, Bitcoin is up slightly. I think it's going to get a pop up to higher levels to either come up to the 109,000 level or just under it here, and or just try to overthrow it. And again, I told you, I thought we'd come, back above 100,000 to 101 to 105,000. I told you, again, we may go higher than the 105,000 area. It was just where some resistance was. We're coming up, towards this area right here now. And again, that may be, we stall the resistance zone with this peak and this peak over here from January and late January into early February there. I think you got to, as I said, my last update for Friday, I told you Bitcoin Friday session started. I posted a video. I thought we'd likely peak in the next 5 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday. I think it's probably going to be early next week, Monday, Tuesday. I could be wrong. It may go drag out a little bit longer. Warning signs that a top is going to happen. I'll show you those signs. If you watch the video all the way through, I would recommend you do that. You want to be in the know to what's going on. Now we got this continuation doji spinning top looking candlestick there for the Friday session, and the Saturday session we're up slightly, just under 0.5%. Consolidate further, but I think, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you're going to bump up to new highs, I think. And again, you could go up 500, 600, 700, 8,000. Our top was 108,000. The January top was 109,000. But I think you'll probably get a lower high. Now again, I could be completely wrong. Maybe we bust up through that level, the 109,000, and then get the pullback. My guess is that's probably not going to be the case, but I'm very open-minded to it. And again, I think we'll pull back towards the 100 period moving average, the pink line right there, towards the 50 period moving average, the green line, towards probably horizontal support. About that pullback shortly. We're going to get a pop, and then you're going to get this drop, and you're going to get this pullback. What's happened in the past? Now, again, I'm a big believer in the 100 period moving average, this pink line right here. Okay, Bitcoin follows the 100 period. When we broke it, Bitcoin broke it, and then it back tested it up here, below it all this time till we got our double bottom pattern, got back above the 50, got back above the trend line, broke above it, and then we cleared the double bottom confirmation line, and you saw this surge, which again I correctly predicted would happen. Had this massive rally. My signals called the bottom on the 7th, and I got another bottoming signal there on the 9th. Momentum signals flip, and we saw the trend line break, and we got back above the cloud, and we got back above the 200 period, and all the stuff I told you was going to happen happened. Extremely bullish on Bitcoin, and again, the bears were telling us that we're going to have, completely collapse over here. I told you the opposite. It was going to bottom with the tariffs. Was correct. Now we've recovered most of the decline of a 32% decline. And again, normal type of a correction for Bitcoin. You're going to go up to new highs. So I think Bitcoin will peak above 150,000, probably somewhere between 150,000 to 175,000. As we've had this correction, that means Bitcoin's going higher. Had we not got such a deep correction, Bitcoin would have a lower target because, again, the trend line is my target. Weekly chart that I've talked about so much. I'll show that to you in this video. I have time. We've talked about it in our last update, and we talk about it in nearly every video. Bullish alignment of the moving averages. The 10 got above the 50, the 20 got above the 50. And what happened? Bitcoin took off and got above that 200 period moving average. You're about to see the NASDAQ and the S&P get the bullish realignment of the moving averages, and eventually they'll play catch up to Bitcoin. So again, I think you're going to get one more pop, and then I think you're going to get this drop. Uncertainty surrounding the U.S. and China. Again, maybe enough progress made, and there's more meetings that are necessary to cause de-escalation. And again, that's likely what the talks are about right now. As the Treasury Secretary said, it's likely about de-escalating the situation rather than actually negotiating a trade deal at this moment. Again, we could see some kind of pullback, and then Bitcoin begin to take off. But again, you could pull back to just under the 100 period like we did the last time around back in September. When we got the higher low, we pulled back to the 100 period, dropped below it, and the 50 period moving average, and then we began to soar. That's reasonable to believe that is likely going to be the case. We may get a deeper sell-off, but my guess is that's not going to be the case, but I'm open-minded to it. So I think Bitcoin will get some kind of pop higher, a pullback, and then I think it's going to really, really go. While I can speculate about the pullback, I want to remind you my signals which are correct, my signals which called the bottom, my signals which called this rally correctly. My signals are still bullish. See if momentum turns, and if it does, our trending signals begin to turn, and we get a pullback. A more shallow pullback, we can get a medium-sized pullback back to the 50, back to the 100, a more shallow one into this area over here, into the 90s, 93,000, 94,000 area. Here are 38.2 Fibonacci wherever we peak, and again, you don't know exactly where it'd be because I still think we go higher. Can't do the Fibonacci retracements yet until we have a peak in. Don't think it's happened yet. I think it'll happen early Monday or Tuesday in all likelihood. Drag out longer, and I'm just telling you I could be wrong. Maybe we go higher. I'm telling you, I'm getting some warning signs that we're going to get a pullback. That's all I'm saying about that. Now, again, the RSI continues to be above 50. Again, our divergences mark the bottom beautifully, as we talked about at the bottom. Same thing with the MACD back over here. Beautiful thing. MACD is moving higher now, so again, I'll be watching for the next rollover, but we do have this divergence that's developing on the histogram, and we've got one developing here on the stochastic. So I think we pump a little bit higher, and again, my target was 101 to 105,000 or so. We could exceed my target very easily, 106, 107, 108,000. And again, if I'm wrong, then we go up through this level. Again, I shared in my last update my trading strategy. I have two things going on. One strategy is, again, to buy the bottom here. And again, I talked about the dip over here underneath the 200, under here at the 200. I talked about the opportunities back over here. I started accumulating my position with the small position just at the 200 right there. Sharp sell-offs, which I talked about them at the time, marking bottoms, signals correctly marked as bottoms, for selling off the opportunities. And that's where I took advantage of accumulating Bitcoin position. And then when we got this drop, and I told you again, we could end up forming a larger divergence if we take out this low. We never did confirm this as a bottom. Went up to the 50 period and we got rejection, and we came back down to Bitcoin's average price. And again, another opportunity presented itself on the 7th and on the 9th. You know, when the herd was telling us we were going to crash, we were bottoming. The complete opposite happened to what they were saying was going to happen. So again, I remain extremely bullish, but I'm doing two things. Again, down here, these levels, taking a position to ride it up over the next several months, larger swing move higher, because I think Bitcoin's going to go between 150 to 175,000 or so. So I'm going to ride that up, and if we get short-term price fluctuations with pullbacks, I'm not going to do anything with that position in that account. Different accounts, different things going on. Bitcoin, different ways, with Bitcoin itself, with the ETF, with future contracts. I trade back and forth. That's what I've been doing with Bitcoin. But with this position right here, this position, I'm going to hold that position longer term. Now, I have another strategy that I'm implementing, and that is that I'm just going to try to play the short-term swing moves I've been doing all along. That's what I have been doing. I'm just taking a position that I'm going to hold it longer because I think we're going to get an explosive move higher. As I keep saying, I think Bitcoin will more than double from the 74,000 area. The other strategy I have is selling into this rally. I haven't done it yet. Probably do it early next week if we get one more pop higher. I think that's going to be the case. I think it'll likely happen Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, but I think it's going to happen early next week. It starts on Sunday. We'll be watching, but we're going to get a pop higher. I'm going to sell. I'm going to try to buy back down here near the 50 and the 100 period in horizontal support. Doing what I've been doing my shorter term swing trades back and forth. I'm a trader. I trade Bitcoin back and forth. My trading strategies, one is longer term, holding for the multiple month trend that I think is going to take us in a 5-leg push higher. The other is, again, trying to play these swing moves back and forth. And again, I believe that we're completing wave 1 right here. I'm going to try to buy the wave 2 low, my longer term position, but exiting my short term. Because I mean, we're up 40%. I caught most of that move. Lock in those gains and try to my next swing trade long down here at these moving averages and support levels. Should we go down? And I, again, holding longer term, because how do I know that we're going to, we don't know. And again, how do I know Bitcoin's not going to just blow right past 109,000 right now? Or of a shallow pullback. Two things, and I think that makes sense. Had just been trading Bitcoin back and forth. This is going to be a longer term hold for me, and planning on holding sometime between July and probably September. This is Bitcoin's probably going to top in August or September. We're going to get a short-term top here next week. I have the guts to tell you what I think. I could be wrong. Signals remain bullish. Did you hear what I just said? My signals remain bullish. Start seeing, I'm getting warning signs. So if we start seeing momentum shift, then likely get the pullback I'm looking for. My trading strategy, just wanted to share that with you. I shared that in great length of detail in my last update. Why I think we're going to pull back is I think wave 1, minor wave 1, is about done. Okay, I think we're going to get one more push higher, And then I think it's going to be done. I think that's going to happen probably Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, but my guess is we're going to see it happen early on next week. Could start on Sunday. That's certainly possible. Here I'm making the video on Saturday. We've got 6 hours left in the session. I think you're going to probably see it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We get a pop-up on hopes of the talks being successful with China, and then I think we're going to see this pullback. Now, here in the 4-hour time frame, again, when we were being told that we were going to get this crash back at the bottom, again, I told you a little miniature double bottom was forming. I got bottoming signals there. I told you I thought that completed intermediate wave 4. I think that we're in intermediate wave 5 right now, and I think this is the first minor wave. These are the first smaller subwaves of that minor wave 1, and I've marked this as a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. And I told you a couple of videos ago, before we got this current rally back up here, I told you I thought that was wave 4, and I thought we were about to bounce. That was correct. I think we have 1, 2, 3. I think this is 4. Maybe it's not done yet. Maybe we come down a little bit more. Maybe it is done. But I think you're going to get this pop higher. Whether we get one more little tiny push down, low or not, who knows. And then I think you're going to complete this diversion. Say we go a little bit lower, then I think you get this divergence. I talked about this in my previous update. Could see a little divergence develop here. You got a larger divergence with the lows over here, or the highs over here, I should say, in that we're getting this larger divergence. And I think that will give us the pullback. I think we'll get that pop, one more pop higher, and then I think you're going to get this A, B, C move down into this level. And like I said, we may not go as far as I think. We may go further than I think. But you have the 50, the green line, is above the 200. 50 is still pointing higher. I think you'll end up dropping below the 50, coming back towards the 200, and probably overthrowing the 200 period if we come back as deep as I think. We may not come back. Listen to me carefully. Again, we may not come back as deep as I think. So watching my signals for clues. I'll be watching the Fibonacci retracements. But again, the long positions have played out beautifully. The signals over here and over here and over here played out beautifully. Look at this. Opportunity just presented itself as everybody was freaking out. ICD is rolling over here. Same thing. You got this divergence going on, this larger divergence. You got a slightly lower high there. I think you're going to probably see a little bit more volatility here, and then I think you're going to get this final pop higher. And I think that will form a divergence in the most recent price action. And then I think we'll come back down here. And again, this could be quick. It could be over a few weeks. Again, my shorter term trading strategy is to try to sell the peak and the peak of minor wave 1, the completing of minor wave 1, and try to buy the ending of wave 2, which again, wherever that may be, more shallow retracement, medium retracement, or wave 2 here, or do we come back down and get something uglier, a 61 or 78.6 Fibonacci retracement? Certainly possible. My guess is that's not going to be the case because we're back above that 100 period moving average I've talked about. Bitcoin right now is up just under 0.25% as I'm making the video. It was up near 0.5%, now up 0.25%. But I'll be watching this. And you have a potential rising wedge that could develop. I'm connecting this peak right here and this peak right here. And I think we're going to go up to that trend line right there. That's where I think we're going to peak. So again, that could take us above that. Remember, I talked about the 101 to 105,000 area moving above 100,000, which I told you was going to happen. It happened. I was right. But again, we could even go above that 105,000 area. But I think this trend line, or maybe overthrowing the trend line, maybe we go on, 107, 108,000, certainly possible. Don't want to rule it out. But then I think you're going to finish this wave right here. And then I think you're going to get the minor wave 2. I'll be looking for that pop higher. And again, once it happens, or whether we get a bigger pullback, and once it happens, I'll be looking for that divergence to develop here on the RSI. So that's what I'll be watching here in the 4-hour time frame. I think that will mark the top, and I think that's probably going to be Monday or Tuesday or so. Just my opinion. I could be wrong, could drag out a little bit longer, but again, I have the guts to tell you what I think. Very few people will do that. People predict things before they already happen. We're going to peak and then we'll start selling off, and then people will predict things after they happen. I try to predict things as they happen or before they happen. My signals correctly predicted the bottom and correctly predicted this rally of 40%. Signals correctly predicted the December and the January top. That's what I think is going to happen. I just lay it out for you here. This is my Elliot wave count. This is the 4-hour time frame. Again, I think you've got these 4 waves higher. I think we're in minute wave 5 to complete minor wave 1. That's the official name of the wave. The other chart I showed you didn't have circles on it. That platform doesn't offer the circles, but this is the correct count. Minute wave 5 into minor wave 1, and then minor wave 2, and then I think you get this explosive move above 109,000, and I think that's that parabolic wave 3, and I think that will take us up to my trend line, my target, and then I think you get the 4 for the ABC, and then eventually the wave 5, and again, completing over here, intermediate wave 4. I think you're going to complete this 5-leg push higher for intermediate wave 5, and I think that could take Bitcoin to 150 to 175,000. You know, give or take, depending on when we reach the trend line. If we do it immediately, well, Bitcoin will be lower. If we reach it into late in the summer or on into the early fall, you know, August or September, then you're going to be higher. But I think Bitcoin's likely going to peak in August or September. All that for, you know, for sure, but I think Bitcoin's going to rally up over the next, you know, 3-4 months or so, maybe 5, you know. We are May 10th, you know, 4 months from now is September. We're going to rally over the next 3 or 4 months in all likelihood, see Bitcoin peak out. And when we get there, everybody's going to do what they did back over at this peak, tell us Bitcoin's going down, and then Bitcoin's going to get a bigger crash. This was 32%. The previous one was 33%. It's going to crash about 50%. When we peaked in 2021, it crashed by 52% in just a few months. And that will likely take us back to this level. And then you've got a possible head and shoulders pattern that could be under construction. I think is very, very possible. Bitcoin forms that pattern quite a bit. Bigger picture, again, here's the 5-leg push higher. Here's the 1, the 2, and the daily time frame here. The 3, the parabolic move, I think is about to happen. That will take us above this high. And again, above, I didn't draw that very straight. Let me do that here. Above the 109,000 January peak, and I think you're going to get an explosive move higher. This count, again, I'm speculating that we're going to move towards 170, 175,000. Could be lower, but the target range is at the moment. And it's a range based on my trend line. A number is not my target. A date is not my target. I'm just telling you that we could reach there, 5 waves, next few months. So I'm looking at August, September. What's going to happen is we're going to rally up there. And then I think is what's going to happen is I think that these deals with the tariffs, the escalation with China, we'll see negotiations with China and US. They'll reduce, the Trump administration will reduce the tariffs, but not to what everybody else did. Reduce it down. You know, Trump's saying 80% on Friday. They can lower it down to 50, 60% or something like that in good faith for the negotiations. Could rally on that, but the tariffs can remain. And I think that you'll get a rally on tax cuts, hopes of the tax cuts that are going to be going through on into the summer here. I think that the talks between the U.S. and Iran are going to break down. I think in the next, 2 to 4 months, you're going to see the United States and Israel join forces and with Iran's nuclear threat. And it's going to happen. I told you in 2024 and early 2025 that we're going to see that happen here in 2025. That will end up rattling markets. I think it will rattle Bitcoin. Concerns about a regional war, concerns about World War III and all this other stuff. That's something that's going to rattle the markets later in likely July through September, and I am leaning towards that happening in August or September in all likelihood. It happens a little earlier in July, maybe a little bit later in October, but I think it's going to happen this year, and I think it will rattle Bitcoin. I think it will rattle the markets. Now the U.S. is going to have more talks here with Iran. It'll probably go on for a little while, and then nothing will likely become of it. And the Trump administration will become frustrated trying to resolve this peacefully. I don't think they're going to be successful. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Iran has to sign a deal, and then you have to be able to verify everything. Know that they're going to be able to get Iran to do this. But this is coming, and I think we're going to rally, and I think it's going to rattle markets. And then you're going to get a recession, and again, start seeing evidence of that. There's going to be this big rally, and everybody's going to go, oh, we dodged the recession. Everybody telling us we're going to have this recession, which I've been predicting we're going to have. And all the people that were No way that's going to happen, and we're going to have this soft landing nonsense and all the rest of it. Now down at the bottom, they're telling us we're going to crash along with Kramer. We're going to have this crash, and that we're going to have the recession. Well, Kramer's already changed his sentiment. No recession now in 2025. Get the herd piling back on with Kramer. Crypto herd is going to get extremely bullish. And again, they're going to, when we get up here, they're not going to believe it's possible we go down. And I'm telling you, you're likely going to see tensions in the Middle East create a big crash in the market. You're going to see the recession line showing up. That's going to begin to get priced into Bitcoin. It will be the Fed panicking at that point. Bitcoin will likely get a very quick drop of 50%. A few months. Extremely bullish now, but later I think that those are the things that are going to be creating a peak, the other catalysts. But again, I think we're going to rally further. Escalation happening, and maybe we pull back and then we get de-escalation day, maybe quick, maybe it drags out a little bit, but I think you're coming back to the 50 period moving average eventually for a test, and as the 50 gets back above the 200, going to take off. Bullish now, but up here I'm going to be very bearish, locking in my gains. My positions are doing very nicely. I'm very bullish, but up here I'm going to get very bearish. I don't care which way Bitcoin goes, up or down. I'm a trader. I trade it back and forth. I really don't care. Make money either way. Just want to talk to you about the Fear Greed Index, the Crypto Fear Greed Index. Just some things, some observations. Again, some extremes or divergences at extremes often mark tops and bottoms. Recently, even going back into March 2024 high, we had broken above the 2021 top, and you formed a little tiny divergence there at that high. Later, we would confirm a lower high in July that eventually led to the bottom. The same thing in December. At the December top, there was a little divergence there, and then on into the January high, you got another larger divergence building upon that led to the sell-off that we recently had. The January 20th peak, we had this divergence with the Fear Greed Index. A possible divergence that may form as we go into next week, we may form a little tiny divergence here that might give us the pullback. I think that we're likely going to peak early next week, get a pullback to build momentum to go make new highs. I am very bullish on Bitcoin, but we've had a 40% move higher. Nothing goes straight up. Likely get a pullback to shake out the weak hands. If I bring this up close, you can see we just had divergence form, a bullish divergence in April. Bitcoin moved to a new low. The Fear Greed Index did not take out the previous low. Now here's a chart that mmcypto posted on x.com, formerly known as Twitter. I think it's an important chart. I wanted to share it with you. Now here's a chart that's very interesting that I think is in agreement with what I've been saying about that Bitcoin is in the final phase of the blow-off top, and then it's going to complete. And that's probably going to be over the summer or on into the early fall. Over the next 3, 4, maybe 5 months, I think Bitcoin will put in its top. Probably, and I'm leaning towards July to September, and it's more likely in August or September. The chart shows the market cap to the thermo cap ratio. Bitcoin here in black, market cap to the thermo cap ratio here, down here. I think this is correct. I think we're going to see it get one more surge like we did over here to the final push higher to the first, into the first 21 top. Later they would diverge. Second 2021 top. It's the same thing over here in 2017 to the final blow-off top for 2017. Same thing. You saw it begin to surge, and you got that final blow-off top move. Same thing going into late 2013 on into 2014. Same thing here. 2014 decline, and on all the way back. So again, I think market cap to thermo cap ratio is suggesting we're about to get the final phase of the blow-off top. Use March on these other times, and here the final bull rally. This is very much in agreement with the rally that I'm expecting to the upper channel line in the weekly time frame. I think that, I mean, and again, people that told us this rally on Bitcoin was never going to happen. We've now rallied up 40%, nearly 40%. Now they're doing what I told you they would do. They're screaming, market rally, bear market rally. Same thing with the stock market. And again, we're probably going to get a pullback with Bitcoin. They're going to go, see, and then Bitcoin's going to pull back, shake out the weak hands. The bears will scare some people some more, and then we're going to get an explosive move higher.